I was going to ask you about, which I just had to when I found out, was that you got arrested for spying.
Yeah, that was my Indian escapade. I got arrested on suspicion of spying and smuggling.
Smuggling?
Yeah, at the same time. Yeah.
I love the idea of smuggling. It just makes me think of pirates. But imagine, you'd make a good smuggler, a future pirate. That would be a good film part for you, actually.
I think so.
So you were actually flying over India or something?
Yeah, we was flying from India to Thailand.
Oh, really?
And we had a bit of a problem with the aeroplane, had to go back, which was scary enough in itself because it was a bit hairy.
Obviously.
And then promptly got arrested on suspicion of smuggling and spying.
Really?
And spying because we had a camera with a lens on it, a big lens on the front, which obviously you need from an airplane.
Yeah.
And then we had two
disguise.
watches. The smuggling was 2 watches.
Oh, really?
I had one for local time and one for Greenwich Mean Time, which is the universal time.
You were
for
going to
flying
sell
around.
one of those watches.
Hey?
Well, they thought you were going to go back and sell one of those watches.
A watch.
He's got 2 pairs of trousers on. This is no good. That's brilliant, isn't it?
But that's how stupid it was. And there were guns involved.
Really?
Yeah, they put us in a room for 4 days with an armed guard up front.
Oh, my God.
2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
Each morning they would burst in. While you're here, the guns are out. Because we had 2 watches and a lens and a long lens on the camera.
Did you not feel tempted to say, I'm Gary Numan, how dare you?
I did, I tried that. And he said, I'm actually famous and I'm doing this to generate publicity for my new album and it's an adventure. That's why I'm here. Nothing to do with smuggling or spying. And they said, well, where are all your press cuttings then? That I'll tell you, word for word, where are your press cuttings?
That's why I carry mine around with me in this bag.
Here they are. Yeah, I forgot to mention them.
This is quite a good one. It's a 5-star review. Don't read that one. He
How
didn't
bizarre
like it.
is that? Like you carry them everywhere you go.
I love the idea of that.
And we said, oh yeah.
You've got 2 watches on. You're a future pirate.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm hunted with a jackal, me. 2 watches.
That's
and they
brilliant.
said, there was one aeroplane, this place that we landed, there's one other aeroplane there, and he said, well, maybe you were taking photographs of that aeroplane. I said, first of all, it was a thing called I'm not an anorak, but it's called a Brit Norman Islander, right?
Yeah.
They make them on the Isle of Wight.
Right.
So, and you can do a factory tour of the Brit Norman factory on the Isle of Wight.
With the internet these days, I'm sure you could download a picture.
Yeah.
Of those.
The bloke I was flying around the world with, there's 2 of us, used to be the test pilot for Brit Norman.
Really?
I said, he's flown that plane that we're now supposedly spying on. And he said, well, what about the Russians? So, what about the Russians then?
Well, it's a good question. What about
what way did you fly? I
Russians?
said, we flew down from the south up the coast here. Well, you flew over the Russian submarine base then?
Really?
What Russian submarine base would that be? It says it's 9 miles
That's
north
what
of
they
here.
were trying to do. What Russian submarine base? We went round it. How did you know it even existed?
Yeah, it's just a fluke.
That's brilliant.
It was like Keystone Cops, but
my
it was
God.
actually really quite frightening.
Quite frightening
at the time. But yeah, anyway, so I've been arrested.
You're a spy.
I'm a spy.
It's brilliant. Imagine that you'd go to those lengths to become a sort of famous sort of rock star, but just so you could be a spy.
Yeah,
I love that. What we're going to do is be a famous rock star, take up flying, but it's all a cover. I'm a spy. That's
and
amazing.
to smuggle watches, a
I only
single watch
smuggle
into
one
a
at a
continent.
time. That's amazing.
I've actually got some film of it. They made us expose all of our film because we had the cine camera as well.
Really?
But then they gave me the camera back and they gave me the unused film back.
Yeah.
So I got one little clip of my little Cessna parked up on the ground under arrest with this man standing next to it with a gun at attention.
Really?
We taxied past it and I got the camera on my lap looking out the window. Yeah, it's just...
That's brilliant. Did you get any songs out of it?
No. I don't get sort of inspired.
By real life?
Not well, by real life, yes, but not that kind of thing. More emotional sort of misery.
No.
Really.
It's, me and June often find that we write quite fantastical stuff because sometimes life's quite dull, so we sort of go to the other end of, we were sort of writing in Dalston in this awful studio and it was quite grim and we were writing all this fantastical stuff. We were thinking maybe it's a sort of reaction against, because sometimes life can be a bit boring and the things that I do a lot of stuff in my stand-up about how boring EastEnders is and all that sort of, well, I don't talk about it, but council tax bills and all that stuff fills me with inertia, so I end up writing bits of stuff about a moth that speaks like Pete Doherty. Keeps me off the streets. But it's interesting actually because I do. I have friends who are in bands, and they don't write anything unless most of the stuff they write is from something that's happened to them, and they have a real emotional bond to it. And I'm the absolute opposite. Our stuff's filled with a lot of emotional stuff. It's usually from a fantastical standpoint, and then we pepper it with all emotions and tiny observations. But a lot of people my friends who are artists and stuff will only work from the other way around. They'd find that observation or that emotion, then they sort of make it fantastical.
Yeah,
but
I'm more like that. It's grossly exaggerated, but based on an experience or an emotion.
Yeah.
You know, an obvious example, a few years ago we lost a baby when we were trying to babies, and you know, obviously that's a fairly heavy thing to go through, so there's a lot comes out of that.
I mean, do you get influenced by... Because a lot of people imagine that because you've had success and you've done so much stuff that you would be influenced by, you know, people like Bowie and people that, you know, that are old, you know, have done more than you and older than you. But you probably get influenced by a lot of younger people, don't you? I'm sure. Because we do. We get influenced more by newer stuff than we do by stuff that's established often. Because
a lot of the time, things that are established have kind of settled for... sort of going through the motions a little bit, and it's quite often new things that are coming along are pushing boundaries a little bit more. I sit in the studio, I'm just surrounded by gadgetry. I don't sit down and strum a guitar, I'm surrounded by gadgetry.
Do you play piano?
Yeah.
A bit. Do you play guitar a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not good at any of them.
No.
You still want to play a G sharp minor.
Oh, really?
Not a clue. I know the G note. I'm one finger specialist.
Do you think that helps you that you didn't have massive musical knowledge?
Yeah. You listen to songs written by people that are really good players.
Yeah.
And this, I shouldn't say this really, but I generally believe that this is 90% true. All of their songs are simply vehicles to let you know how good they are at playing. Yeah. They'll have lots of guitar solos on them. They're good guitar players.
They'll be basically showing off.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. These are not. They're more interested in showing off their musical prowess than they are in actually showing off the tune. Because quite often, you know, one note is all you need. You don't need 1,000.
Well, especially with melody, the simpler the better often, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's all about, for me anyway, it's more about atmosphere.
Yeah.
And, you know, the vibe of it. It's not about how many notes you can play in a second, or is that a really complicated chord to go from that one to that one, and good, look at me, and how clever am I? I can't play for love nor money. I was told, for example, I can't remember if it is, I did a song called Cars many years ago, and another one called After Electric, my first successful singles, and it was one of those. I can't remember which one it was, but I was told that I would have failed my music degree if I'd have presented one of those, because it had some particular passage in it that was considered to be unattractive.
I'd have given you an A+. How dare they?
Isn't that weird? You know, a #1 single, I'd have failed my music degree.
That's amazing,
A-level on that.
isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's rubbish. And I quit. I was doing music at college, very briefly, as part of a general course, and we had to go away and write a 4-part thing on the piano. So I took it back, and the bloke said, "You can't have that." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Well, you can't." I said, "But it sounds all right." And he said, "That's not the point." I mean, it's not the point.
It sounds all right.
Yeah,
that's the only point of music. If it looks all right.
Yeah, if you do with the dots.
Tastes weird, though.
Yeah, what a strange thing to say. Well, God, surely the fact that it sounds all right is the only point if you're talking about music. Oh, yeah, but if you write it down, the semi-quavers are in the wrong place. What?
Yeah, English is
but
a
it
bit
sounds
like that,
all right.
isn't it? Because I can't spell for toffee, but I'm, I suppose, primarily a writer, which is quite hilarious. But obviously, when you're growing up at school, it's like, I didn't spell, Jesus, what, you know. And then actually, I've gone on to, written a lot more than most people. It's quite like music, actually, writing in a lot of ways. I think the way things sound together, words and things. And that